The top stories tonight in Y News. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has sharply criticized the widely uneven and unfair distribution of COVID-19 vaccines, pointing out that just 10 countries have administered 75% of all vaccinations.
President Rodrigo Duterte has certified its urgent two proposed measures that seek to expedite the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines.
Majority of NCR mayors agree to place Metro Manila under modified general community quarantine in March. Filipinos affected by blackouts in the United States of America ensure record cold without electricity.
Facebook has blocked Australian users from sharing or viewing news content on the platform.
And Britain greenlights world's first trial exposing human volunteers to COVID-19. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, February 18, 2021. I am Maureen Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has criticized the widely uneven and unfair distribution of COVID-19 vaccines globally. Early Briones will tell us why.
A major setback in the global vaccination plans has seen just 10 countries have administered 75% of all vaccinations. Addressing a high-level meeting of the United Nations Security Council, UN Chief Antonio Guterres said 130 countries have not received a single dose of vaccine. Guterres lays out that for everyone to be vaccinated quickly, there is a need for those in power to evenly administer vaccines to hold a global vaccination plan.
I believe the G20 is well placed to establish an emergency task force to prepare such a global vaccination plan and coordinate its implementation and financing. This task force would include all countries in which there is a capacity to develop vaccines or to produce them if licenses are available.
To maximize vaccinations, ceasefires were called upon by UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab to halt any strife and chaos in regions which prevent the vaccination program. United Kingdom Ambassador of the United Nations Barbara Woodward responds that the UN also need the full support of the Security Council to continue with the tasks. Unfortunately, the widespread inequity of the vaccine rollout has caused the World Health Organization's COVAX program to miss their goal. The poor countries were going to be vaccinated as the rich countries were, though poor countries have yet to be vaccinated. Early Briones, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Malacanang sees a possible delay in the arrival of Sinovac vaccines in the country. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte certifies as urgent measures expediting vaccine procurement. Rosalie Cons will tell us why.
Malacanang reveals that the supposed delivery of 600,000 donated doses of Sinovac vaccines by China on February 23 may be delayed. This is if the Food and Drug Administration will not be able to issue an emergency use authorization for the Chinese vaccine. It was mid-January when Chinese firm Sinovac submitted an application to the FDA, but so far, only Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines have been granted EUA by the state regulator.
I have received information that unless the EUA is delivered today, baka pati po yung delivery sa 23rd ay maantala.
Meanwhile, Vaccine SAR and National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez still believes that the February vaccination rollout is still possible. This despite the fact that there's still no definite date on the delivery of AstraZeneca and Pfizer vaccines through the WHO-led COVAX facility. The shipment of AstraZeneca vaccines have been delayed due to supply issues, while Pfizer vaccines are due to the issue of indemnification fund.
Nakita natin na karoon din ng delay ang rollout worldwide yung COVAX. But definitely, kung just in case magkaroon po ng EUA, yung mga iba po na madodonate at saka po yung darating sa procurement po natin, ay pwede po possible pa po ang February.
On the other hand, Secretary Galvez revealed that President Rodrigo Duterte has certified measures to expedite the mass vaccination program of the government, particularly Senate Bill 2057, or an act expediting the procurement and administration of vaccines for the protection against the coronavirus disease 2019, and House Bill 8648, or the proposed Emergency Vaccine Procurement Act of 2021. These measures allot 500 million pesos of COVID-19 National Vaccine Indemnity Fund.
Pinirmahan na po ng ating mahal na Pangulo ang pagsertifika ng panukalang batas as urgent. Nag-usap po kami kanina, kasama po si Senator Bongo, at magandang balita po na talagang napirmahan niya na po yung mga Senate bill na nakikita natin na makakatulong po sa atin.
Yesterday, Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Mig Subiri mentioned the possibility of ratifying the measure if President Duterte certifies it as urgent. Aside from this, the Chief Executive also signed a memorandum order allowing local government units to make advance payments exceeding 15% of the total contract amount for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the League of Governors support the proposed Emergency Vaccine Procurement Act of 2021 that will exempt local government units from procurement rules when purchasing COVID-19 vaccines. Meanwhile, the group is also seeking power to immediately implement a lockdown on concerned areas even without the approval of the government's task force. Ray Pelayo explains why.
The League of Provinces of the Philippines, or LPP, sees the need to fast-track the procurement of COVID-19 vaccine, especially now with the limited supply.
Actually po, yung sa supply po ang malaking problema, kaya umaasa po kami sa national government Dahil nga po, 80% na ng supply sa buong mundo, nabili na po ng mayayamang bansa. Tayo po ay nakikihati na lang sa maliit na porsyento, ilang bansa po yun.
The League's President Marinduque Governor, Presbytero Velasco, said that provinces are willing to support the government, but the procurement of vaccines should be accompanied with the legislation in order for them not to violate the Procurement Act. The group fully support the bills that are now filed in both houses. Velasco is also asking the Food and Drug Administration to fast-track the issuance of emergency use authorization for COVID-19 vaccines.
Kailangan pong maayos po yung mga conflicting provisions kung meron man, para po safe naman po yung mga LGUs. Pero ang pagandaan po ng mga LGUs na may pondo po talaga, talaga pong voluntaryo na po silang tumutulong para po mapabilis yung pagbabakuna.
Meanwhile, the LPP said the IATF should also consult the provincial governors before placing the entire country under modified general community quarantine, as the officials know the situation in their area. The group is also seeking to have powers to immediately implement a lockdown in an area even without the approval of the IATF.
Pangalawa pong hinihiling namin na kung sakali talagang ilalabas siya ang resolution na yan ng IATF na gagawin ng lahat MGCQ, nabigyan po ng power yung LGU na pumatok agad o mag-impose agad ng lockdown o ibang klaseng quarantine system. Ino-notify na lang po ang Regional Task Force at ang IATF. Pero may power po ang LGU na bigla po at immediately ay mag-impose ng mga corrective measures, lalo po yung lockdown.
Velasco added that they are not in favor in the reopening of cinemas. He noted that just like air-conditioned buses, the virus can easily spread in the area.
Yun po ay talagang mapanganib kasi nga po ay yung enclosed po yun, naka-aircon. So kung may virus may nakapasok po na ng asymptomatic at positive naman, yung binubugay niya pong virus doon sa loob ng sine, paikot-ikot po yun.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
The UP Octa Research is proposing to the government to add more units of public transportation instead of increasing the capacities to 75% under modified general community quarantine. Joanne Nano tells us why.
It would be very risky if the government will allow the increased capacity on public transportation to 75%. This as the Economic Development Authority or NEDA proposes that the country should shift to modified general community quarantine. In a statement, the Department of Transportation said that they are ready to implement the increased transportation capacity if this will be approved by the Interagency Task Force and as directed by the cabinet members. Although the UP Octa Research recognizes and respects the decisions and policies of the national government, they said that COVID-19 cases might surge once they allow the increase in transportation capacity. The group is also considering the recent clustering of the COVID-19 variant from the United Kingdom in MRT3.
That could be a risky proposition. We are not opposed to increasing public transportation. We can increase yung number of public vehicles. We could increase, we could have more jeepneys. With the UK variant, it's even more risky because the UK variant is more transmissible. So we're giving, we're giving the UK variant more opportunities to spread if we increase, capacity in public transportation.
For UP Octa, the country may shift to a more relaxed quarantine restrictions once the COVID-19 vaccination program rolls out, wherein health workers should be the top priority to be inoculated.
It is very important for us to vaccinate our frontliners because they will help us in preventing surges. So even if we don't see the effects immediately, the vaccine rollout will have a really big impact on our public health outlook, and definitely a move to MGCQ will definitely be very possible.
The UP Octa earlier said that easing quarantine restrictions should not be done hastily as this might result to resurgence of COVID-19 cases. Joanne Nano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police will monitor the trade of counterfeit COVID-19 vaccines. This after the force received information that they are now in circulation in the black market. Leah Ilagan reports.
The Philippine National Police ordered the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group or CIDG, Intelligence Group and its National Operational Support Units to organize operating teams that will launch crackdowns on the distribution and sale of COVID-19 vaccines without proper authorization from government agencies. PNP spokesperson Police Brigadier General Ildebrandi Osana said they will mobilize police teams that will monitor black market activities of counterfeit COVID-19 vaccines. DILG earlier ordered the PNP to arrest those who are involved in the illegal trade. The directive came after Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto warned the public in a Twitter post against buying fake vaccines that he said are already circulating the black market. In a statement, DILG officer in charge Undersecretary Bernardo Florese Jr. said they have also received reports regarding the issue. Florese adds some people are taking advantage of the pandemic to make money. Leah Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Food and Drug Administration or FDA clarified that there are no vaccine supplies yet in the country. This following reports that some government hospitals have received their stash of vaccines to be used for the National Immunization Program against COVID-19. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Wala pang dumarating na bakuna, no?
Food and Drug Administration Director General Eric Domingo clearly states no COVID-19 vaccine supply has arrived in the country. DG Domingo refutes report that a government hospital has received its supplies. Based on the information, the said hospital will start their inoculation anytime this week or next week. But according to FDA, this is not true as COVID-19 vaccines should all undergo their approval.
I mean, Pfizer, of course, and AstraZeneca will inform us kung may darating na rito, and the government. And all vaccinations, all vaccines for COVID-19 will have the Department of Health as the consignee. Wala namang pwedeng private na entity na tatanggap ng bakuna for COVID-19. There's no information of any vaccine coming in yet.
DG Domingo adds they are investigating such reports as these are illegal acts.
Kasi kung physically nandito, bawal yun. Kasi hindi naman sila pwedeng bentahan eh. Even the company that supplied them is liable. Kasi wala namang there's no COVID-19 vaccine that has a marketing authorization or a license to sell in the Philippines. Wala pang Sinopharm na EUA application eh. So, wala. Hindi yun legal.
Under the existing law, COVID-19 vaccines with emergency use authorization from FDA are allowed to enter and be used in the country. The Bureau of Customs, on their part, when it comes to the delivery and receipt of COVID-19 vaccines in the country, observe regulations. According to Bureau of Customs spokesperson Attorney Vincent Philip Maronilla, they will abide to FDA's regulations and on the set customs regulations. All illegal vaccines will be seized and destroyed, so they will no longer be distributed.
The regulation that FDA is saying is walang magpapapasok ng walang EUA namin. Pagpasok dyan at sinabi nila hindi pwede pumasok yan at walang EUA yan, that makes it an illegal importation and therefore we seize it and we dispose of it in a manner in accordance with customs laws.
According to BOC, vaccines offered online are considered illegal. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on the right side of your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Majority of the Metro Manila mayors backed the proposal to shift to the most relaxed community quarantine status by March. The Metro Manila Council also wants gradual shifting in allowing more minors outside of residence. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why live. Yes, Asher, good evening.
Good evening, Will. The Metro Manila Council decided they will recommend to the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases to implement the modified general community quarantine restriction in the National Capital Region for the month of March. According to Navota City Mayor Toby Tiangco, the nine voted in favor of shifting to MGCQ, while 8 mayors would like to retain the GCQ status. Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chairman Ben-Hur Abala says the local chief executives worry about the worsening of COVID-19 cases in the metropolis, but they are also concerned about the country's economy.
Nakakatakot din naman yung nangyayari ngayon na marami nagugutom, marami walang trabaho, no? So siguro dahil dito tinignan nila maigi at ang naging posisyon nga ay siguro MGCQ para lang sa ganoon naman ay magkaroon ng tamang-tamang economic activity at the same time unti-unting nakakalibrate naman pababa, unti-unti, meaning from 18 to 15 and then susunod na naman.
Makati City Mayor Abby Binay also explains that after almost a year of being under quarantine restrictions, it is time to lean towards the economy.
I think it's high time that we test. Are we ready to shift? Tingnan natin kung kaya na natin mag-MGCQ. Kasi for over a year, we have sided more on health rather than the economy. And obviously, the economy has taken its toll.
San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora, however, expressed his apprehensions against shifting to MGCQ and explains that most employment are anyway open even under GCQ.
Everywhere you go, you will see people working And as long as all health and safety protocols are being followed. Ang apprehension ko lang kapag sabihin yung MGCQ na tayo, no, yung mga ibang activities na ako personal na naniniwala na pwedeng ipagpaliban muna, no.
The Malacanang Palace, on the other hand, appreciates the support of Metro Manila mayors in easing the restriction in the NCR next month. The National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, also recommends the same action to President Rodrigo Duterte as a response to economic challenges in communities.
Well, nagpapasalamat po tayo sa ating mga alkalde, no? Ulitin ko lang po, lahat po tayo talaga pinangangalagaan ng kalusugan, pero kailangan po nating pangalagaan din yung hanay ng mga nagugutom na dahil po sa pandemyang ito.
Meanwhile, the MMC and IATF also agreed to allow minors aged 15 years and above to go outside of residence, but they want to have gradual shifting of the said provision for more minors in the younger age bracket.
Ang pananaw ng mga mayors ay okay lang, pero dahan-dahan, wag ganun ka-drastic. Baka po pwedeng 15 muna ngayon, and then after, let's say, 3 weeks, kasi tandaan nyo, incubation is 7 weeks, di ba? Gumagaling ka na ng COVID in 14 days. Siguro in 1 week or 4 weeks, makikita mo kung spike ang kaso mo, kung tumaas o hindi. Kung hindi tumaas at maganda naman, pwedeng babaan mo pa.
And that's the latest on my end for tonight, Will.
Yes, thank you. Asher Kadapan Jr. reporting live. Meanwhile, the Department of Health reported that COVID-19 cases in the country are now stabilizing. But the DOH warns the public to be more vigilant against the more transmissible COVID-19 variants. Aiko Miguel reports why.
The Health Department is now seeing a plateau in the number of COVID-19 cases in the Philippines. Based on a report as of February 15, the country has recorded a total of 550,860 COVID-19 cases, of which 27,588, or 5% of the cases, remain active. The country's recovery rate is also at 92.9%, which is a good indicator in the country's management of COVID-19 cases. Based on Octa Research team's report, it appears that since January to the present, COVID-19 cases are stabilizing or in a flat trend.
Metro Manila is still more or less the same, although we saw an uptick in cases in a few LGUs in Metro Manila, and this included Pasay and Manila. Although it's just a slight uptick lang naman, nothing to be alarmed about. Fluctuations happen regularly, so sometimes it just goes up a little bit because of clustering. Sometimes it goes down, but it's more or less flat.
Meanwhile, the DOH is currently closely monitoring regions 7, 12, and 13 except Agusan del Sur. DOH is also seeing a slight increase in cases in Region 10 this past 2 weeks. Meanwhile, based on the projections conducted by the Octa Research Group, Cebu could reach around 300 cases per day by the end of February if stricter measures are not implemented. The DOH once again reminds the public to be more vigilant and responsible in observing minimum public health standards because of the existing COVID-19 variants. Border control should also be strengthened to avoid the entry of new variants in the country.
Huwag po tayo maging complacent kahit po binubuksan na yung ibang sektor sa ating bansa para po sa ating ekonomiya. Kailangan we have to comply with the minimum health standards. Pag nagtuloy-tuloy po natataas sa mga kaso, babalik po tayo doon sa dati nating estado na nakasara halos lahat ng mga sektor natin at ayaw na natin bumalik doon. So let us cooperate, huwag po tayo pumunta sa matataong lugar and always do the minimum health protocols.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The total number of coronavirus disease 2019 cases in the country rose to 555,163 today. This after the Department of Health reported 1,744 new COVID-19 cases. On the February 18 case bulletin, the Health Department also reported 412 new recoveries and 96 deaths. Total recoveries now stood at 512,375, while the total number of deaths is at 11,673.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, will lay down their new plan to President Rodrigo Duterte for the guidelines of possible face-to-face classes in the country. Dante Amento tells us why live. Dante?
Yes, Diego, Department of Education Secretary Leonor Briones says that based on their latest survey, more than 50% of the students who want to have face-to-face classes in the country. And that DepEd has also its plan ready to be presented to the President in the next Interagency Task Force meeting. Briones added they have 4 primary requirements for the limited physical classes. This includes the approval of the local government units under the modified general community quarantine. Parent consent is needed and the classroom should be near a health facility. Transportation when going to school should be determined.
Depende yan kasi yung iba it will work in high school, may iba it will work sa lower grades. Pero ang importante ay lahat ay gagawin natin. Wala tayong one size fits all na lahat pare-pareho will be marching to the same drum. Hindi ganon. At saka depende also sa assessment ng ating IATF at saka Department of Health.
There are parents who favor to have physical classes because they cannot afford to monitor their children while at home.
Mas maganda po yung face-to-face na pag-aaral ng mga bata. Mas natututukan po na maigi.
Okay lang naman. Basta susunod lang tayo sa mga protocol ng health.
But Griselda Senson has a kid for preschool next year still worries of her daughter's safety even though vaccines will be available.
Sinasabi ko sa mga anak ko na pwede naman silang maglaro dito sa loob ng bahay. Kasi nga since na maliliit pa sila, na kakaroon sila ng interaction dito sa loob ng bahay. Kaya lang iba pa rin yung pakikipagsalamuha sa ibang tao, sa ibang para ma-build yung self-confidence nila.
Diego, DepEd, on the other hand, assures that they will study thoroughly every action in order not to put the children at risk. And that's the latest live. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you, Dante Amento, reporting live.
The Commission on Population, or POPCOM, is crafting a social protection program for teenage mothers. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Commission on Population and Development, or POPCOM, sees the necessity of giving a social protection for the teenage mothers. The agency's executive director, Undersecretary Juan Antonio Perez III, said that their number at the end of 2020 was around 70,000 and is projected to increase to 133,000 by the end of 2021. Half of them are from poor areas.
Priority sila dahil ito yung mga pamilya na nagsisimula pa lang ay halos sigurado may mababaon na sa kahirapan. Kaya kailangan sa simula pa lang, bigyan na natin ng tulong ang mga pamilyang ito na para ma-avoid na madagdag pa sila sa bilang ng may hirap.
Undersecretary Perez cited some reasons why for this trend.
Nakita naman namin na noong 2013 pa, tumataas na ang premarital sex sa mga kabataan. Kasabay dito, sinabi ng Supreme Court na hindi pwedeng bigyan ng family planning at RH services ang kabataan na minor de edad kung walang pahintulot ng magulang.
The official said that it is important to include them in the groups who already have social protection like senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and poor families under the Pantawid Pamilya Pilipino program, or 4Ps. POPCOM is now crafting a unified program for them which includes a financial assistance until they reach the age of 21. Both houses of Congress have already filed measures that seek to investigate and legislate interventions to protect and minimize teenage pregnancies. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
With over 7 months away from the September 30 deadline, millions of eligible voters have yet to register for the upcoming 2022 elections. In today's Senate Committee on Electoral Reforms hearing, it was found out that there are an estimated 15 million Filipinos aged 18 and above who have yet to sign up. This was derived as a balance from the 58 million registered voters as of January this year and from the total number of Filipinos aged 18 and above, which is at 73 million. Among the unregistered eligible voters are the 7 million voters who have been deactivated by the COMELEC after failing to vote for 2 consecutive elections. The COMELEC projects that there would be 3 million voters who will reactivate their records in COMELEC offices. However, only an estimated 200,000 have signed for reactivation so far. Meanwhile, for first-time voters, the COMELEC is still trying to encourage 1.1 million to register out of the original 4 million target. 1.3 million have already registered, while the 1.6 million who voted in the Sangguniang Kabataan elections and turning 18 years old before the 2022 elections will be automatically eligible to vote. The Commission admits the quarantine restrictions contributed to the low voter registration turnout.
What we're doing now is we directed our field officials, our election officers to conduct satellite registrations. Lumalabas sila, pumupunta sila sa barangays, pupuntahan talaga yung mga tao para magpaparehistro. Kasi minsan may mga opisina tayo, kahit open yung opisina natin for registration, nilalangaw ang opisina natin, walang pumupunta.
This prompted Senator Francis Pangilinan to urge COMELEC to extend the voter registration deadline.
It will also help in terms of voter education and awareness if you extend it. Bakit? Kasi yung filing October 15 eh. So pag nag-file na at nalaman na nung botante, uy, filing na pala. Ay, teka, hindi pa ako rehistrado. It's just a matter of 30 days extension or 45 days extension. I think the COMELEC should consider this.
We are not closing doors, Madam Chair. What I'm saying is it will be a very, very tight schedule for us. Ang daming apektado from the configuration, from everything, and so on and so forth. But then again, we will look into that.
The senator also asked COMELEC to review its rules on deactivation. COMELEC said they will send notices for those who have been deactivated. Senate Committee on Electoral Reforms Chairperson Amy Marcos also asked the Commission to submit the list of areas that registered the most number of deactivated voter records and ask its local government units for help in bolstering voter registration.
For our weather update, Auring has intensified into a tropical storm this morning. State Weather Bureau Pagasa says as of 3 p.m. today, Auring was estimated 635 kilometers east of Hinatuan, Surigao del Sur. It has maximum sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 80 kilometers per hour, moving northwestward at 10 kilometers per hour. Based on its forecast track, Auring may intensify into a severe tropical storm before landfall over Caraga on Saturday evening or Sunday morning. The tropical storm is not yet expected to bring heavy rains today. However, it is possible that heavy rainfall may be experienced over the weekend through Monday in Visayas, Caraga, Northern Mindanao, Bicol Region, Calabarzon, Davao Oriental, Davao de Oro, Davao del Norte, Lanao del Sur, Mindoro Provinces, Marinduque, Romblon, Northern Palawan, including Calamian and Cuyo Island. No locality is placed under tropical cyclone wind signal as of now, but the public is advised to check Pagasa's next severe weather bulletin to be issued at 11 o'clock tonight. Massive power outages in the United States of America have seen millions of residents, including our kababayans, living there to enjoy the extreme cold without heat or electricity. Nina Bascon explains why.
Nearly 3.4 million customers around the U.S. still have no access to electricity due to the extreme weather this week. Utility crews are racing to restore power before another blast of snow and ice strikes places that are not well equipped to deal with it, like Texas, Arkansas, and the lower Mississippi Valley. Texas in particular had suffered the worst, with 3 million homes and businesses left without electricity since midday Wednesday. The president of the Electric Reliability Council of Texas says he hoped customers would see at least partial service restored by Wednesday or Thursday. Texas officials have ordered 7 million of its people, including Filipino residents, to boil tap water before drinking it after days of low temperatures that have caused damage to infrastructure and led to frozen pipes.
Simula pa lang Lunes, on and off na po yung kuryente namin. Yung iba walang tubig, iba hindi makapagluto sa kanilang bahay.
Francisco Ramos and some of the Filipinos living in their area are helping each other to look after the older people. Meanwhile, outages in Portland and Oregon have affected more than 100,000 customers a week after a severe snow and ice storm toppled many trees and took out hundreds of miles of power lines. CEO of Portland General Electric Maria Pope said the damage to the power system was the worst in 40 years, while Director of Utility Operations Dale Goodman cites this as the most dangerous conditions they've seen in the state. Furthermore, due to the treacherous road and thousands of flights being canceled, travel remains unadvisable in much of the United States. But despite the crisis, stories of kindness emerged as Army veteran Evelyn Fletcher made meals and delivered them to truck drivers, travelers, and people in hotels. Nina Bascon, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Australians woke up today to find Facebook pages of all local and global news sites were unavailable. Dale De Castro will tell us why.
Australians got alarmed when several government health, emergency, and other sites in Facebook were blocked this morning. Aussie users were not able to share or view news content on the platform, which results on not having access to key information. The Australian government is trying to get technology companies, including Facebook and Google, to pay for the news that is widely shared on their sites as the advertising revenue that once supported publishers evaporates. The law would force them to strike deals with media companies or have fees set for them. Australia Treasurer Josh Frydenberg expressed his disappointment about Facebook's action, and the government said the ban threatened the media platform's credibility.
But what today's events do confirm for all Australians is the immense market power of these media digital giants. These digital giants loom very, very large in our economy and on the digital landscape. The Morrison government remains absolutely committed to legislating and implementing the code.
Facebook later released a statement which said these pages had been inadvertently impacted and would be reinstated, though it did not give a deadline. The ban sparked an immediate backlash, with many Australians angry about their sudden loss of access to trusted and authoritative sources. Frydenberg tweeted that he had a constructive discussion with Facebook chief executive Mark Zuckerberg to try finding a pathway forward with Australia's news media bargaining code. Google, meanwhile, has secured deals with publishers in the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Brazil, and Argentina for its Google News Showcase product, and on Wednesday reached a landmark global deal with Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, owner of the Wall Street Journal and two-thirds of Australia's major city newspapers, to develop a subscription platform and shared advertising revenue. Dale De Castro, UNTV News. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The United States has charged 3 North Korean computer programmers with a massive state-sponsored hacking spree that stole more than 1.3 billion US dollars in money and cryptocurrency, affecting companies from banks to movie studios. Marvy Delfin will give us the details in this report.
Federal prosecutors from the U.S. Justice Department has charged 3 North Koreans responsible for stealing millions of dollars to illegally fund the North Korean government and control American corporations deemed enemies of the state. The 3 defendants were identified to be members of the Reconnaissance General Bureau, which is North Korea's military intelligence agency. If convicted, the trio faces prison sentences of up to 5 years for computer hacking and a maximum of 30 years for wire fraud. However, they are believed to be in North Korea, which does not extradite its citizens to face U.S. charges. In 2018, one of the officials, Park Jin-hyuk, was accused of participating in the 2014 Sony hacking that crippled the production company, as well as the WannaCry cyber attack on Britain's National Health Service or NHS, and an attack on the Bangladeshi Central Bank computers, which are connected to the global banking communication system. Building on that investigation, 2 more North Korean spies were also indicted, named John Chang-hyuk and Kim Il, who worked with Mr. Park to operate illegal hacking schemes from North Korea, China, and Russia, beginning as early as 2014. Their attack on Sony Entertainment Pictures was in retaliation for the company's decision to make and release a film called The Interview that depicted a plot to assassinate North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. Meanwhile, the indictment supports the findings of a report released on February 9 this year by Recorded Future, a cybersecurity research group. The report concluded that North Korea has greatly expanded its ability to use the internet to financially prop up its government, even though the United States and its allies have cut off oil supplies and imposed strict sanctions on the country. According to a Washington think tank, the efforts of U.S. officials to punish Pyongyang continues to be challenged, as North Korea has vastly improved its ability to steal cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Furthermore, Assistant Attorney General for National Security John Demers said that North Korea has become a criminal syndicate with a flag. Marvy Delfin, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Indonesia calls for other ASEAN countries to find solutions for the military coup in Myanmar. Maya Barquez will tell us why.
Indonesia is seeking a possible meeting with the respective foreign ministers of each country who are members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations to find solutions for the military coup in Myanmar. On Wednesday, Feb 17, Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi, upon the instruction of Indonesian President Joko Widodo, has met the current chair of ASEAN Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah in Brunei to convince him in setting up a special Myanmar meeting. Madam Marsudi stated that it is the responsibility of the members to uphold an article in the ASEAN Charter which is to strengthen democracy, enhance good governance and the rule of law, to promote and protect human rights and fundamental freedoms. Last Feb 1, Myanmar military seized power and declared a 1-year state of emergency. With the escalating tensions between the country's civilian government and the military, State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and several Myanmar political figures are still detained. Maya Barquez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In the United Kingdom, up to 90 volunteers will be exposed to the coronavirus as a part of a government-backed human challenge study to help boost the development of vaccines and treatments for COVID-19. Mariela Toza reports.
The United Kingdom's clinical trial ethics body has approved a study that will use the lowest amount of coronavirus to deliberately infect healthy volunteers with COVID-19. According to a statement given by the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy on Wednesday, up to 90 healthy volunteers aged between 18 and 30 will be exposed to the original first wave strain that has been circulating in the United Kingdom since March 2020. They also added that it will be performed in a safe and controlled environment and that the variant has been shown to be of low risk in healthy young adults. The said trial is expected to begin within a month. This makes the United Kingdom as the first country in the world to deliberately expose volunteers to the coronavirus through a human challenge study which can aid with the development of vaccines and treatments. Chief Investigator Dr. Chris Chu from the Department of Infectious Diseases at the Imperial College London said that the aim of the initial work is to understand how the virus infects people and how it passes so successfully between us. On the other hand, the participants will be screened for possible health risks before being allowed to take part in the study and will be kept in quarantine for close monitoring by the medical staffs for at least 14 days at the London's Royal Free Hospital. They will also receive compensation payments of around $122 a day for the duration of the study, which will also involve a number of follow-up monitorings for a year. Similar studies in the past have played a critical role in the development of treatments for other diseases, including malaria, cholera, and the flu. As of today, the United Kingdom has now recorded over 4 million cases of COVID-19 since the pandemic has started, and nearly 120,000 people have died nationwide, marking it as one of the world's worst death tolls. Maria Latoza, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the Global Prayer for Humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through these social media accounts.
And those are the reasons behind the news, February 18, 2021. I am Marilyn Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.